Hey guys, what's up? A Button Games here. I'm going to do a little something different than I usually do. I'm going to kind of show some gameplay and stuff like that, and I'm going to give kind of like a brief overview of Nioh. Basically a review kind of talking about how the game works, how it looks, things like that, why I like it, maybe why I don't like it, you know, a few drawbacks in the game, but overall I really do like this game. And I think that this video is worth a watch, and you guys can leave your opinion down below. If you think I missed something big, definitely let me know. If you have similar opinions, or if you have different opinions, let me know what your opinion is down below. So, basically, for those of you who don't know, Nioh is a third-person action hack-and-slashes RPG developed by Team Ninja, so they're coming back, and they came back with a vengeance in this one, let me tell you what. This game isn't open world like the Dark Souls or Bloodborne, and I mention those two games because this game draws obvious inspirations from them, as many games do. But where many games fall short, this game takes those inspirations and really runs with them and crafts a wonderful game around it, kind of building off of those base things that are in Dark Souls and Bloodborne, like stamina management, the hard combat, things like that, but it really takes it to the next level, and I personally, I love it. So, this game is more instance-based. So, like I mentioned, it's not open world, it's instance-based with kind of like a central hub system where you perform various tasks in between missions or side quests. Tasks that we'll talk about later, but, you know, just to give an example, like training, buying and selling, crafting, those type of things. So think like a mobile RPG, right? So think of like your favorite mobile RPG if you play them. Think of the regular home screen when you first log in where you could, you know, usually you could summon units or whatever the hell game you're playing. But think of stuff like that where you buy, sell, you can summon things, you could usually craft, you could level your guys up, all that type of stuff. You could do that here at the central hub. And I think that really kind of, it really sets the game up nicely because you get to look at like this world map in ways, and you could kind of like select your mission and stuff like that, and you could kind of calculate your next strike, if you will. So it's really cool, and I do love the setup for this game. I think it works really super well. I think that the open world thing is kind of overdone in some games, and it seems like it could be forced in certain games. Don't get me wrong, it works tremendously in a lot of games. Like think of like The Witcher or Bloodborne and Dark Souls and things like that. But some games it definitely feels like an afterthought. In this game, I think it's a good thing that they kind of went with a more instance-based type of thing. Furthermore, this game really distances itself from the titles above that I mentioned because of the Diablo-esque Borderlands-style loot system that the game features. Every piece of loot is going to vary, just basically. I mean, you could get the same piece twice, but that's very unlikely. And that's super unlikely due to the fact that each piece of loot comes with its own rarity. So, you know, there are, so far, I think there's 4 types. There might be 5, but I haven't seen a 5th one. And it looks like white, yellow, blue, and then purple. So, increasing order of rarity, which means that if I have the same sword at a white and then at a blue, if they're the same level, the blue is more likely going to have more damage and extra effects on the gear. So think like Diablo, right? White piece of gear tends to just have basic effects, defense, attack, whatever. Yellow pieces of gear tend to have the defense and attack plus extra few abilities like adding to your attributes or cooldown reduction, those type of things. So that's kind of how this game works. And each of those things have their own little subcategories. So what I mean by that is, like, say I have a sword, it has damage boost. That damage boost is going to be like damage boost against enemies from behind, or damage boost against humans, or damage boost against the yokai or yoki, however the hell you pronounce it, which are kind of like the demons in this game. And that goes for all the other things, so like attributes, status effects, those things all come with their own multipliers that kind of determine how effective they are, things like that. If you have other gear that have similar effects, the effects stack as well as gain a bonus, so that's kind of a really cool little thing that they decided to add in. And to go along with the varying versions of each weapon, there are lots of weapon types in this game, and this game features an expansive set of skill trees for each of those weapons. It also features a separate skill tree for the magic and the ninja tree, which are like, magic obviously, it's magic. Ninja tree is kind of like preparing scrolls, preparing poison, shurikens, other special little things like that. Now the skill points for the weapon trees are all shared across each weapon tree, and the skill points for the magic tree and the ninja tree are earned separately, and they're kind of their own little independent item around there. So that kind of allows you to distribute the skill points among the weapons as you see fit. In the game, you carry 2 weapons at any given moment. Obviously, you can have a shit ton in your inventory, but you carry 2 at any given moment that you could switch to on the fly, so most people will try to find their 2 favorite weapons, I guess, their 2 favorite weapon types, and pump their skill points into that, so that's pretty cool. And on top of that, a nice touch in this game was the inclusion of the respec consumable. So there's like a little book that you can buy. This thing will allow players to reassign all their attribute points that you've assigned from leveling up. Like, I think there's like heart, body, stamina, strength, dexterity, skill, luck, you know, spirit, all those types of things. You can, unlike games like Bloodborne and Dark Souls, you can respec. So if if you're putting all of your skill points into, say, like dexterity or strength because you really like this type of weapon that benefits greatly from it, and then you find another weapon and you're like, oh my god, I absolutely love this kind of weapon, then you could go and you could buy this book and you could respec. That also gives you the option to reset all of your skill points as well in every tree. So it refunds everything, and then you go in and you redistribute everything. It doesn't take very long, but it's a very nice touch, because a lot of times I feel like I get locked in, like, oh, I really like this playstyle, and then you get to a certain point in the game, you're like, shit, this playstyle's not as good as I thought it was. It's actually underpowered late game, and now I'm kind of stuck with it, and I have to struggle my way through. Which, in a way, does make the game harder, and it makes it more appealing to some people, but a lot of people kind of like that freedom and want to experience it, the game in its entirety. And a game that really sells itself on all the types of loot that it has to offer, it's a good thing that they give you a quick way to switch between all these types of loot without feeling like you lost time focusing on the other one because, shit, now my skill points are spent and I can't get them back, but I really want to use this one, so now I have to grind a whole bunch of levels just to get this one up to where that one is. It kind of removes that whole, crap, I wasted time, and maybe I want to start over now because I know this thing exists and stuff like that. So basically, you find a new favorite weapon, no problem, just use the respec thing and you're good to go. So this game also features many of our traditional RPG mechanics that we know and love. A satisfying and addicting crafting system that can produce any rarity of weapon or armor, with the chance of producing the rarity is based on the materials that you use to craft. So when you craft an item, it's going to require certain amounts of certain types of material. So what I mean by that, it's going to require like a metal, it's going to require like a string type material, it's going to require some other types of things, and within each of those there are different rarities. So and the rarities go the same way the armor does, white through yellow. Oh, sorry, white through purple at this point in the game. Again, I don't know if there's another type of rarity. I heard there is, but I haven't seen it. And basically, if it requires 4 ingots, metal ingots, you can put 4 of the blue in there. And what that'll do is that'll increase your chance of getting a blue item at the end. The percentages are actually given to you, so you'll see you have a 40% chance of the white, a 20% chance at yellow, I think it is, a 10% chance of the blue, and like a whatever adds up to 100% chance at a purple. If you use more purple materials, your chance of getting a purple is going to significantly increase. And of course, you could make it so your chance of getting a purple is virtually 100%, which is right now the best type of you can get in the game. So that's good. And of course, along with the purple comes special effects. You can get sets in the game. And the sets can come at all different rarities, it looks like. I found a white that has set effects on it. I found purples that have set effects on them. And basically, if you find other armor of that same type with that same little like effect on it, if you put both of them on, then you gain further bonuses. So it's actually really, really cool. I find myself using the crafting system a lot because it's easy to understand and it's very addictive. It's like you find yourself trying to craft the perfect piece of gear, and it's a lot of fun. And the materials that you use for crafting are not that difficult to get, right? They're found in the field just like as loot on enemies, but the game also is very generous with the amount of armor and weapons that it drops. And with the unwanted or old armor and weapons that you're no longer using, you can take them to the central hub and you can dismantle them at the blacksmith, and you can get a shit ton of materials. Based on the rarity of the items that you dismantle, you get that type of rarity materials. And you can also get materials that are of higher rarity and of course of lower rarity. So you can dismantle a whole bunch of whites and you can get some yellow and some blue and some purple material. So that's actually a really, really, really nice touch that they added into this game. So the bread and butter of this game really, really is the complex combat system. The game features 3 stances from which the player can switch to on the fly. It has a high stance, which is high damage, but it doesn't offer a lot of different movesets and combos. It also uses a lot more stamina when you attack, but it does a lot of damage. Mid, which is good damage and ton of movesets. I think it's the most movesets in the game, so it's more of like your balance thing. It's what I would recommend to anyone who's just starting the game. And then low. Low is lower damage. It has decent amount of movesets, and it attacks really super fast. Now, I personally didn't like low at the very beginning until I discovered status effects in the game. Status effects in this game work much like your Dark Souls or your Bloodborne. If your weapon has poison or paralysis on it, what will happen is you hit an enemy and a bar slowly fills. If you can hit an enemy enough times and that bar fully fills, then the status effect is applied to the enemy. From what I can tell, it doesn't matter how hard you hit the enemy for how much the bar fills. So that being said, if I'm in high stance and I hit the enemy twice, the bar's going to fill the same amount as if I'm in mid stance and I hit the enemy twice. And that's where low stance really comes into play. You switch over to low, and you could apply things like paralysis or poison almost instantly, and you could just destroy and run through enemies. And it becomes really helpful when you get caught into situations where you're fighting multiple enemies. A thing that's very difficult to do in this game because of the way the enemies can time their attacks with each other. And one enemy will attack while the other one's guarding, and as soon as you go to hit the one that's attacking, the one who's guarding will kind of sweep in and try to take you out. So what you can do is you could just kind of, while they're both guarding, if you have them both on the run, or if one of them's guarding, you could kind of target that one, and you could just hit him a whole bunch of times, apply paralysis and poison to him, then apply paralysis and poison to the other one, and then you could kind of methodically kind of work them around, kite them a little bit while your poison and your paralysis slowly kill them. And it really does help out in those situations. And of course, like I said, once you apply those effects, you could switch back to the other one. You could switch back to like high stance or mid stance and play how you're comfortable playing. So I think it's a really cool idea. The stamina management in this game is also really cool. The human enemies in the game have stamina, so you can see their stamina bar, and it will show you when it's depleted. When it's depleted, they're super vulnerable for like finishing attacks, visceral attacks, if you will, from Bloodborne type of style, where you can sweep in, you hit them, do massive damage. The one major difference in this game is you are not invincible while you're performing these like visceral or back attacks, similar to how you are in Bloodborne and Dark Souls. So if an enemy is primed for like an execution style attack and I just run in and hit them and there's 3 other enemies around, they will kill me while I'm performing it, and it's all for nothing. So keep that in mind. I'd say overall Nioh is an exceptional game. It looks and runs buttery smooth, which is kind of a rarity at this time. Most developers don't focus on that, but it really plays well into the game. Features a combat. Hey guys, features combat. It features a complex combat system as well as like a complex looting system, crafting system, all that other stuff. It's really well polished, well done. It has a ton of side material to keep the game fresh and engaging between the side quests, these special little Twilight missions that offer like super rare materials, stuff like that. So I would highly recommend this game to RPG fans who have looked at this game and like, oh, it's like Dark Souls and Bloodborne. Even if you don't like those games, this game changes enough about it to where it feels like a completely different game. While the inspiration from those games are clearly evident, what this game is able to do with that groundwork is truly remarkable. I think it's a very well-made game. It's going to be on a lot of Game of the Year lists or contenders and things like that. I would probably give the game like a 9 out of 10, with the one drawback right now being the multiplayer and possibly the bosses. But overall, guys, I really like the game. Let me know what you guys think down below, now that you guys have listened to me ramble for a while. And thanks so much for watching, guys. And until next time, see ya.